Hey everybody, it's June 12th, and yes, I'm here in my garage today because I wanted to talk to you guys all about something that we've talked about in school before, and that's recycling. Um, Everybody's home, everybody's got a little more time in their hands, and I was thinking maybe it might be a good time for people to get into a routine of trying to recycle. Um, you know, Recycling's it's kind of an important thing that we can do that really doesn't take a lot of time, and it's quite helpful. So, um, because as we know, everything's made out of something, and everything that we make comes from the materials and that are on this planet, on Earth, right? So everything that's been made from plastic, since things were being made from plastic, is still around in some shape or form. Doesn't go away, right? Plastic bags. You go to the grocery store, you get a plastic bag, use it maybe 15, 20 minutes, you buy stuff, you bring it home. They survive or they last for 200 to 300 years in our landfills. That's a lot of time for a bag that you're going to use for 15 minutes. Plastic bottle, if it makes its way to the ocean, which unfortunately a lot of them do, can last for up to 450 years in the ocean. Um, you know, there's over 1 million plastic bottles that are purchased every minute in this world. And only about 7% of them ever make it to being recycled. So that's a lot of garbage and waste that we're producing. So much garbage makes it to the oceans that there's a big floating pile of garbage. They call it the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. It's about the size of Texas, floating off in the Pacific Ocean, and it's pretty harmful to the creatures in the ocean and stuff like that. So I think they're trying to clean it up, but it's not as easy as it sounds. So one of the things that we can do is we can try and recycle, right? Why should we recycle? Well, it conserves resources, right? The planet only has so many resources, and we're using them up at a pretty quick rate, especially with more and more people being around, born, living longer. Um, you know, but when we recycle, materials are converted into like new products, reducing the need to continue using the natural resources, and that'll protect habitats, for animals and for people for generations to come. So, recycling saves energy. Using recycled materials in the manufacturing process uses considerably less energy than that required for producing new products from raw materials. So everything that we recycle, that we reuse, we use less energy. And energy is another one of those things, fossil fuel that we use up, that there's only a limited supply of. And we're going to have to come up with other options and ways to reduce and other forms of energy because last time I checked, we have one planet. So, so it's important. It protects the environment. Recycling reduces the need for extracting these fossil fuels, which can destroy habitats and destroy the environment, creates air pollution, creates water pollution. We need air, we need water, last time I checked. So everything we can do to reduce that, helps us out and helps our neighbors out. So um, recycling reduces your landfill, right? The more we can recycle, the less we throw away. The less we throw away, the less we need a landfill. Um, we recycle materials, or when we recycle they're processed into new products, and as such, the amount of rubbish to a landfill decreases, which reduces emissions of methane and greenhouse gases. So, if you've been in class and you've been listening before, reducing the greenhouse gases is good because, um, you know, last time I checked as well, we need oxygen to to survive. So the greenhouse gases is kind of not good for us. So so where does recycling go when you bring products to the dump, or if you recycle them at your curb? What do we do with those? What happens to those products? Like glass, you throw away a glass container, right? Glass, they melt down and they use it to make new bottles, new glass bottles. Textiles like shirts and cotton and things like that. A lot of times, if it's recycled, they can reuse them, send them to other countries that are still developing and that they can find a way for them. Or if not, they reprocess them and they make new shirts. Paper is recycled, is being made into like different products like egg containers and shipping containers and things like that. So School of Paper, we have a big recycling bin of paper at school, and we throw our paper in there, that big blue thing by the door. So when we recycle that, that gets reused. Cardboard, they make new cardboard boxes, right? So that's helpful, especially the way people are getting stuff delivered at home. There's a lot of cardboard boxes. I have a pile of boxes in the basement. I'm sad to admit, my girls call it Box Mountain, and those are all boxes of stuff that's been shipped to me that are good boxes that I think I can use to ship stuff back out or to store stuff, but I'm sure everyone's got a few boxes hanging around. Plastic, they recycle plastic. They kind of chew it up and shred it up and turn it into little pellets, and then those pellets they can use to make new products, whether it's toys or containers, even like car dashboards, anything that's made of plastic, they can reuse that. I don't recycle a lot of steel, but they melt that down. They make new products. Your parents have a car, and if you drive your car, your engine oil gets changed, and engine oil is something that we recycle, right? They use that for fuel and power stations, and it'll kind of it's biodiesel, so they'll use it on other cars that can kind of use that kind of fuel. When you cut your grass, some people compost their grass at home. Some people take their grass to the dump. Some people take their trees and limbs and things they cut down, or they put it at the curb and it's taken away to the dump, and it sits there and it kind of biodegrades, and then people come and use it for compost. They use it if they're going to have a garden, which a lot of people have started gardens now that we've been home for a while. So your grass and like small trees or twigs and branches and stuff like that can be reused. So we have little ink cartridges from school. They use those. They take them apart. They reuse some of them, or they kind of melt them down. Packing peanuts, right? If you get something shipped to you, they used to use packing peanuts. Now they use little bags of air, right? But those packing peanuts used to be processed and used in like furniture, outdoor furniture, or different plastic parts in cars. So wood, you can even recycle wood, right? You can use it for kindling. You can burn it up as long as it's not treated wood. Treated wood has chemicals in it, so you really don't want to use those. Paint. A lot of people paint around the house, and then you're left over a little bit of paint. What do you do with it? You should never put it down the drain or put it out at the street in the drain out there. You should try and recycle it. Take it to the dump. They have collection days. I go to the town of Colony dump, and they have a collection day like 2 or 3 times a year where you can bring your paint, and then they process it and they treat it so it's safe and not harmful for the environment. Because if you pour it down your drain, it gets into the water system, and that's where we get our drinking water from. So recently, within the last couple of months, plastic bags have been banned. So we're not necessarily reusing them because people didn't reuse them. A lot of people used them, and then, like I said, threw them away, and then they'd be around for a couple hundred years or so. But even if they go to the dump, they sit there. It's just not good for the environment. People throw them on the side of the road. It's not good for animals. So you want to try and use paper bags and stuff like that that are biodegradable. So that's something that's going to break down and not going to live for 200 or 300 years in our landfills, or 400 years in our oceans. So 7 reasons, real quick, why we should recycle, right? So we talked about reducing carbon emissions, right? Greenhouse gases, for every ton of paper that is recycled, 17 whole trees are saved. So we need trees, right? Why? What do trees do? They remove carbon from the air and helps produce oxygen, which we need to survive. So we talked about how it lessens the burden on landfills. I go to the county landfill. When I was younger, it was like, certain height. And over the years, as I've gotten older, and it's huge now. It's like a huge mountain. And it's kind of unsightly, and people don't like it, but people got to throw their trash somewhere. So, they're still using the landfill until we come up with a better way to recycle um, more products. So, improve your groundwater. I just talked about that. You throw stuff away, it deteriorates and it gets into the groundwater. Well, it sits in a landfill for a while. Rain comes down, rain washes off, goes into the ocean, or excuse me, rivers, and then that makes it to oceans. The town of Colony landfill is right next to the Mohawk River. Water from there, I'm sure, goes into the river. Mohawk River, people take water out of there for their drinking water. So, so the less we put into the dump, the better it is for our water. So, reduces air pollution. When companies use materials, recycled materials, to make products, they use less energy. And if they use less energy, there's less pollution coming out of their smokestacks and hitting the environment. So, and it makes the air, more breathable and better for us. So, your parents will like this one. If we recycle more, it will increase their property value because, like we talked about, landfills. People don't want to live next to landfills. People don't want landfills in their neighborhoods. And people don't want to buy houses and pay a lot of money for houses that are in landfill or near landfills. So from a practical standpoint, so recycling is good for business, like we talked about before. Companies that use recycled materials, they pay less for those materials. Sometimes the government gives them money to use those materials. So whatever they're producing, it's going to cost less for them to make, and in turn, you'd like to think that maybe they'll pass those savings on to you. But that's sort of the theory. But why it seems like it's a lot to recycle. It's really not that hard. You can make a difference. A lot of people think that one person can't make a difference, but in the case of recycling, one person can. On average, each American produces approximately 1,600 pounds of waste each year. And as much as 1,100 pounds of waste could be recycled by each person each year if they just took time to recycle, right? So a family of 4, that's like 2 tons of materials. Tons a lot. 2 tons is about the weight of your average car, not your SUV, but your car. That's a lot of waste. So, and it really doesn't take a lot. Stop using recyclable or start using reusable shopping bags, maybe reusable water bottles. When I was younger, we had no water bottles. You went to a drinking fountain or used a cup. Nowadays, everyone's got water bottles all over the place. And as we mentioned earlier, a lot of them don't get recycled. So they just get thrown away, make it to the oceans. Straws, for some reason, straws has become a big thing. One of those things that stick around for 300 or 400 years. You don't think about that when you get a straw. But I know a lot of companies are not even handing out straws. But even just little things like that, if enough people do it, then hopefully it'll cut down on all the negative effects of the waste that we produce. So anybody can do it. A lot of people are like, recycling. I'm not going to recycle. It takes time. I'm not a tree hugger. You don't have to be a tree hugger to want to save the planet for future generations. Especially if you're a parent. Like I said, anybody can do it. So we're all home. We all got a little extra time on our hands. So why don't you, give it a try. Sort your stuff out before it goes to the curb. Or if you go to the dump, separate that. So hope everybody's safe. Hang in there. Hopefully we'll be together soon. And take care. Have a great weekend. Bye, guys.